without further ado, guys.
I have to say that this is probably the first time we've been on this side of the stage, which is sort of an odd experience. Both our kids were very involved in the music and theater programs here. Each of them performed in all 4 of the musicals during the years that they were here. Both were in both instrumental and voice ensembles, multiple instrumental and voice ensembles. So we spent a lot of time sitting out in the audience, and that opportunity to be part of an experience, the experience they had, I think, is also part of what I was talking about in terms of what it means to be part of a community like the Worcester Academy community. I don't know that we had originally intended our kid to go to high school or independent school. We were kind of figuring that they would go through the Auburn school system, and they had good experiences up through middle school in the Auburn school system, but we kind of hit a checkpoint for us when Auburn was struggling with accreditation at its high school, and it resolved some of that since then, but we decided to look at options. And one of the options we came to was Worcester Academy, and Elizabeth, particularly as our oldest, Elizabeth's a senior now at Princeton. Elizabeth really resonated with this place as a community, and I think the points that we want to make today are less about kind of the academic experiences or the college counseling, but more about some of what I would consider the more intangible parts of being part of Worcester Academy. Part of that is a sense of community. I think that comes partly from some of the commitment to teamwork and commitment to the students that Ron and Greg talked about. Part of it, I think, comes from the advantage, and we really saw it as an advantage when we first visited here, of this also being a residential community. So you're not just interacting with your teachers in the classroom, you're interacting with them on the quad, with the kids, with Mr. Roberts' dog, there are kind of parts of the relationship that I think are unique to the sense of community that having a 24-hour place engenders. I think the commitment to being an urban high school, that vision wasn't really articulated when we first looked, but that part of Worcester Academy was very attractive to us. The diversity that brought, the kind of real life opportunities that brought. It's hard to sum up kind of the years of experience we've had. I would say as part of that sense of community, our son was here this past week because when both of our kids come back, they like to come up and visit. There's a sense of continuity to relationships that are a critical part of our kids' experience here. I want to talk about a couple of stories that I think illustrate part of the intangibles that our kids took away from Worcester Academy. One is our son, who's a sophomore at Bowdoin College right now, and as we watched him go away to school, our kids are both very similar and very different. Elizabeth was always someone who was very self-motivated, organized herself before we could begin to help her organize herself. John took a little more pushing at times to make sure that he had all his ducks in a row and was thinking ahead to stuff. But as he hit Bowdoin, he was independently doing things like drafting papers and interviewing professors to make days. And I don't know where that came from. It came from here. In a large part, it came from the accessibility and support that faculty provide here. It came from the fact that when Elizabeth showed up here as a freshman in Algebra 2, she struggled with her early experience with Algebra 2. One of the things Auburn didn't prepare her kids very well for was word problems and kind of more complex applications in algebra. Mr. Delaney was in his classroom at 7:30 every morning and worked with her almost every day for the first
3 to 4 days a week. And I would also add that when John started, he had a different teacher for Algebra 2. It was always my concern that coming to Worcester Academy that would be a challenge. At that point, when first semester was fine, when he got into second trimester, he stumbled a little bit, and he went to Mr. Delaney, who was not his teacher, at 7:30 in the morning also, because that was a different, Mr. Delaney presented things in a way that resonated to John, and that really helped him get over that hump. So we found that our children not only could access the teachers that they currently had, but would oftentimes go to other teachers that they may have had an experience with. And that was really a great support for both of them. And I think helped them academically. John spoke to Bowdoin, that experience John had with drafts. We found here with the writing program that the kids would oftentimes give in drafts. So they were very, very used to that. So in this class that he had this semester, the professor offered for the kids to give in a draft. And I might add, John was the only person that gave in a draft to that class, and he used John as an example. But that came from Worcester Academy and the extra help program, which we found really helped our kids to learn to access faculty. And both of them have done that at their colleges. So that's just a point that I wanted to add.
And extra helps both formal, scheduled into the schedule, as well as Mr. Delaney at 7:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
But the power, that was really two things. One is I think both our kids became very comfortable with using faculty as a resource in a way that I wouldn't say all of their friends in college were. So the minute both of them hit campus, both of them were, if they didn't understand something, they went to office hours, or they talked to the teacher afterwards. But they have a tremendous level of comfort with using faculty as a resource that comes from those kinds of experiences.
One other thing that I want to make sure that we say is, I know for many of you sitting in the audience, if you're thinking of coming here, one of the concerns that my kids had, especially my John, was leaving friends in the current schools that they were in. And I will say that when they came to Worcester Academy, they made really rich friendships with kids they still see. In fact, this week and the past couple of weeks, John spent time with his friends who he made at Worcester Academy, but at the same time, he's also been watching all the football games with his friends from Auburn. And we found that both of our children maintained the friendships with their fellow students in Auburn, as well as developing rich friendships with people here. And those friendships continue to this day. So if you're worried about leaving friends and not continuing or maintaining those friendships, we found that for our kids that they were able to do both. And sometimes their friends even mixed, so they would get together with friends from Auburn and Worcester Academy.
One of the distinct memories I've had with John, as someone who started Worcester Academy, not all that confident in himself, particularly in a public or a public speaking kind of a situation, is his experiences in the music program. And my two distinct visual memories. One is him singing in the chorus, so hidden in a large group, but singing in the chorus and not knowing where to look and being really uncomfortable as a freshman.
He got roped into that, by the way, by his sister, who wanted him to be in the theater.
And from that, we jumped to sophomore year, where he had a legal jack in the woods and did a 3-4 minute solo number as part of that production, and came sailing out on the stage with a level of confidence that was just, my distinct memory is sitting at a dress rehearsal thinking, who is this kid and what have they done on the side?
That's actually what you said. So, and in terms of building his confidence as a performer and even speaking in a classroom situation, by the time he was finished with Worcester Academy, he had a level of self-confidence that was nowhere near what he had coming in. And we would say the same for Elizabeth, too. Elizabeth has multiple times credited teachers that she's had here in helping her to develop the way she thinks and the way she approaches her academics. So I know freshman year she even wrote a letter to Dr. Murnane highlighting that, because she felt so strongly when she got to Princeton that her experiences here really helped her master some of the academic challenges that she had when she was there. And I have to add this because, you know, we often talk to friends who went to Worcester Academy. I'd say this is true for our own children, that without exception, kids who go on to colleges, wherever that may be, feel that they were prepared and feel like they are able to manage their work and manage it. I think they learn to manage work independently during their years here.
And Worcester Academy has a high expectation for that. You're expected to check email and pay attention to what's going on. You're expected to take care of your own time between classes or when you have a free period. You're expected to learn how to manage your life in a very specific way that I think serves kids really well in future life, in particular the college setting.
I hate to do it.